good afternoon, Derek. This is a demo video for you for your Desert Wanderer by KR Sabers, and it also has the Goth Master chassis installed in it. I just received this yesterday, worked on it all morning for you, and had actually worked on it a little bit last night and then into the morning, and finally finished it up. I've got your emitter on here now that is just for display purposes, so it has your blade plug in it. You could barely see your stock NPXL in here. But how to get to your chassis, first what you want to do is unscrew the pommel. All right, so we're going to unscrew this real quick. I have the effects, let me get this. I have the effects emitter on right now, but your static one is also in your box, and I'll be returning all that, of course, okay? But when you take that off, you'll see your chassis here. Carefully pull it out, very carefully, and I'll explain why you have to be very careful here in a second. But once you take that out, here is your chassis. All right. Try to show off everything. This is a beautiful chassis that Goth came up with for this hilt. It is running a 28mm KR speaker. It sounds very good. All right. And this chassis was specifically designed for that speaker, so that's what needed to go in it. You were asking me a little bit about that. So yeah, that's what I did there. 2-button setup. Your front switch will be your power. Your back will be your auxiliary. I do apologize for my voice. I just got over a cold last week, and I've kind of lost my voice for the most part, but I think I've got enough to get through this demo. Your first set of stock V3s is right here. And of course, your second one is in your emitter. Your board is back here next to your PCB. Now, this is has a hinge system, so you could pop this up to get to your board. Something I don't typically do, but I did on this one, is I ran a 3-pixel accent strip on top of your board. I wanted you to have a few extra blinkies up here, so when this is closed, it'll shine through this great area right here, and I'll show you that here in a second. I wired those in line with your Neopixel strips that are up here, so you've got a 10-pixel strip running right underneath all these greeblies here, and you've got another one running over here. Maybe if I can zoom in on it, you can see them better. You can almost see them there. You'll see them really well when I light them up here in a second, though. All right, so to get to your SD card, open this up, get you a pair of tweezers, and you can take your SD card right out there, no problems, and program your board. You had told me that you would figure out your own sound fonts when you got this guy, so I left it as is, as it was programmed from KR. It does have some Obiwan fonts on it, and you know, the stock configuration for the master chassis. All right, and you'll find a copy of that and all your fonts on your SD card. You got an OLED screen right here. Moving down, this is your battery compartment. You can also flip this up. It's on magnets and a hinge system. So you've got your battery in here right now. This is the brand new battery that came with your kit. It does need to be charged. As you'll see on the OLED screen, it's got about 2 bars left. So it does need to be charged. Okay, but you take your battery in and out from here and then close the door and you're good to go. You do have a kill switch right there, just like that. And then your crystal, which I kind of skipped, sorry about that, but your crystal does have a door that you can open. It opens from, if the PCB is facing up, this door opens from the left-hand side. All right, so when you open that up, you can see your crystal chamber. We'll be able to see your rotating plasma gate. It has its own Neopixel accent. And then these are on magnets as well. So when you close it, it closes up and it stays closed. All right, we'll go ahead and turn it on now so you can see it outside of the Saber, because that's where all the,
only when the eyes are closed.
That's where all the cool stuff is happening.
The way.
And you can see on your OLED screen, you got 2 bars of life on that battery. So yeah, you'll want to give that a quick charge when you get it. You got your crystal pulsing. You can see your LEDs on top of the board that I put there. And of course your LEDs over here until we come over here and turn it on. Hopefully you can see that plasma gate spinning, but let me open up that door for you. Whoops. So that's spinning pretty fast until you turn it off. And of course, the plasma gate will spin when the Saber is on. All right. Now, when you go to put this Saber or this chassis in the Saber, let me turn this off for a second so we can talk about it. Something that has happened on a lot of these that I've done, and a few other people have experienced this as well. If you're not careful when you put this chassis into the Saber, you can see your switch PCB right here. It's very easy to shave one of these switches off of this PCB. All right, so be very careful when you're putting it on. I try to get in here and modify this a bit because this is usually the culprit. It's not this one, which is your power switch. This guy is usually the one to shave it off, but I got in there, tried to modify it. It's working for me, but as long as I'm careful. All right, and there's nothing to clock the chassis. So when you go and flip it on,
You're not bringing him to me. I'm bringing him to you.
and you go to slide this in, you want to make sure that your PCB, your switch PCB is lined up with your switches. All right, we'll just go in here nice and slow. If you feel any resistance, back off, but you'll get to this point and it's bouncing like that, it's in all the way. All right, and you come over here and throw the pummel on, but something you'll have to do as well is when you tighten this pummel all the way up, you know, because there's nothing to clock the chassis, when you tighten that all the way up, you may have twisted the chassis just a hair, and this switch might be tight. You know, it's too tight right now to push. So you're going to have to take this pummel, back it off just a hair.
Obiwan Kenobi.
Now we're good to go. All right, and then of course your power. We're going to take this emitter off. You just want to unscrew the top part. Once that comes off, your blade plug will fall right out into your hand, just like that. All right, so we'll put that off to the side. When you want to use a blade, you're going to have to use your blade emitter, and this one's a little bit different because it has that lip up here, and it gives you a little bit of added blade depth. We'll go ahead and screw that on. Turn it back on. Just like that. All right, we'll take a blade and throw it in here. This is programmed for a full-length blade, but I'm going to use a little TriStar test blade I've got. You've got a total of 3 blade retention screws in this emitter. So, of course, you want to make sure they're all backed out. And then I'm just going to use one to demo the Saber. But depending on how hard you want to swing this guy around, you'll probably want to use all 3. I don't imagine you want to swing around too tough though, because this is a pretty expensive chassis. Very solid once it's all put together. Your soundtrack is a long press on the power when the Saber's off. And it's another long press to turn it off. Just like that. And then to trade sound fonts, of course, is just a quick press on your auxiliary.
Ben Kenobi?
And you've got twist off. Or if you don't want to use that, you can just simply tap the power button. All right.
Who's the more foolish, the fool or the fool who follows him?
You actually have quite a few Obiwan fonts that come with this kit from KR. Good flash on clash. Blade lockup is holding down the auxiliary and hitting the Saber. And of course, you'll see that on a full-length blade. It can be a little bit tough to see that on a little test blade like this, but when you have the Saber like this and blade lockup, your blade lockup will be out here, and as you move the Saber vertical like this, your blade lockup moves closer to the actual Saber. All right.
Master Kenobi?
I am, and when you have your strength, I will help you on your way.
Just like that. All right, we'll go ahead and we'll take the blade out of here and find out which of these blade retentions I used. Here's the one. So we'll pop it out like that. When we're done, you can just open it up from here. You don't have to take the chassis all the way out because you have a kill switch. Your kill switch is accessible from right here. So you can turn this on. So we come over here and flip the switch and it kills everything just like it should. All right, and that's basically your Desert Wanderer. Let me know if you got any questions, and if not, I will package this guy up and get you a shipping label ASAP. All right. Thanks, man.